الحمد لله الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا والحمد لله الذي نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله تعالى فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الحدي حدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي آمين وبعد. Indeed, all praises for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We seek His guidance, we seek His forgiveness, we put our faith in Him and our reliance upon Him, and we seek refuge in Allah from the evil consequences of our actions. Whomsoever Allah has guided, there is no one to mislead him, and whomsoever Allah has allowed to go astray, then there is no one to guide him. And we bear witness and we testify that there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah, and that Muhammad, the son of Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, is his slave and his messenger. Alhamdulillah, the community is gathered today, and many have been bombarded from whether it's the news outlets, social media, and what have you. And there are feelings of perhaps frustration, some confusion. A lot of it is hard to digest or stomach. And we also want some direction as far as what should we make of such events that have recently transpired and continue to transpire. And it's almost become like a pattern that we have to brace ourselves every time something happens. And then you find out that it's a Muslim or a so-called Muslim that's behind that act. And we find ourselves in this sort of a defensive position. And then we have our neighbors, we have our co-workers, we have people that we perhaps go to the gym and work out with and so on, that we're interacting with on a daily basis. And they start to look at us and they have questions, and rightfully so. And so I wanted to offer a couple of notions with regards to this. The first thing is, there's been a lot of talk about stuff happened in Beirut. There was something that happened in Iraq. And then there was also something that happened in Paris. And the point is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored all human beings. Right? He has honored all human beings. لَقَدْ كَرَمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored every single children of Adam. We are not making this up. Allah Himself said this. And the Quran, especially early Quran, early revelation, concerned itself with the plight of all humanity. That you see in the time of Shomail alayhi salam, that the Quran is telling us and it's talking about business dealings amongst people. And it's saying don't cheat one another. The seller should not cheat the buyer. And both are disbelievers. Neither believe. But the Quran is concerned with these type of things. And then we have in later revelation, وَيْلٌ لِلْمُطَفِّفِينَ, right? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about people that are doing business with one another. And it's saying the biggest destruction on the business person who cheats in his business dealings. So the Quran overall looked at the plight of humanity, and it safeguarded the honor of the human being and the honor of human blood. And you look at the life and the lifestyle of the Prophet ﷺ before revelation. Before revelation, we know that he was an outstanding humanitarian, that he used to look after the people, that there was a reason that he earned the nickname as-sadiqul amin, that he was the trustworthy one. That when they left money with him, they got it back to the final dirham and dinar. They got every single one of it back when they asked for it back. That he earned this sort of a reputation being in this society. And that he also fashioned and he molded his companions around him. And so the Prophet ﷺ, even then and even us, have to understand that there is something that's called suffering in this world. And that this world is not devoid of it. The angels complained to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Baqarah that why are you making this new creation? That all they're going to do is spill blood. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that I know and you do not know. Because when this human being, when they are acting to their best potential, that they can be even better than angels. They can be even better than angels there are angels that are in ruku from now until Yawmul Qiyamah. There are angels that are in sujood from now until the Day of Judgment. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that these human beings, they have the capacity to be even better than angels. And the Prophet ﷺ, this was before revelation that he was a humanitarian. After revelation, he already understands that there is suffering in this life. But now he also understands, even more so, that there is a potential suffering in the afterlife. That if you do not grasp onto the truth, if you do not affirm that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is your creator, right? And that we have a purpose in this dunya. There's a reason why we were created. There's a reason why we're here, right? That if we don't grasp onto this, he is even more worried now that the afterlife is a more permanent abode and that there are consequences for this. So the Prophet ﷺ was extremely concerned. And he, ﷺ, the people around him were like this as well. The companions, radiallahu anhum, they used to go out and they used to find people that were sick, non-Muslims, disbelievers, pagans, call them whatever you want to call them. They used to go out and they used to recite Quran on them. Because we have a belief that the Quran, the words of the Quran is shifa. Right? And they used to make ruqya on the non-believers. And the contemporary may argue, well, these are people that don't have faith. And so, if they don't have faith, why would you recite Quran on them? They don't have iman. So why would this impact them? But that's not what the companions of the anhum were concerned about. They were concerned about the plight of humanity. They were concerned about the plight of humanity. If you look at the grandson of Sayyidina Ali, radiallahu anhu, Zainul Abidin, the people of Medina, the people of the town, when he passed away, they noticed that their provisions had stopped coming. Because one of his habits was, and think about this, right? There was an article about a Hindu man, an Indian man, that, every night he comes home and his family, what they do is their entire kitchen becomes this, this factory. And they are churning out food, and then he takes it to the people that need it. They go to the train stations where homeless people are sleeping and so on. And that's what they do. They feed these people. And he made this his entire life mission. He made this his entire life mission. And here we are saying that we are shuhada ala nas, that we are a witness upon mankind. How many of us are doing any of these things? How many of us are doing any of these things? We have to step up our game. The Prophet ﷺ, he comes to Medina. He comes to Medina and he gives 4 pieces of advice to the people. He says, Afshu salam. He says, spread the salam. Spread peace amongst the people. Spread peace amongst the people. The scholars, they call this the hadith of salam. It starts with salam, it ends with salam, and it was narrated by Abdullah ibn Salam, the Jewish rabbi who converted to Islam. And the Prophet ﷺ, he says, spread the salam, right? It'imu ta'am. Feed the poor people. Feed the hungry. And then, wasil al-arham. That mend the ties, the relations that you have with people. وَصَلُّوا بِاللَّيْلِ وَالنَّاسُ نِيَامٌ تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةَ بِالسَّلَامِ. And pray in the night when everyone else is asleep. Pray in the night when the people are sleeping, and you will enter Jannah in peace. It starts with salam, it ends with salam. And this was a very simple message that the Prophet ﷺ had for the people that had come to Medina and they were looking to assimilate and engage with the society. He said, spread the salam, feed the poor people. Number 3, mend your relations. The first three are people relations, right? The way that you are with your co-workers, the way that you are with your tenants if you're a landlord, the way that you are with your subordinates if you are an employer. How are you with these people? Right? Mend your relations. And then finally, he talks about your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He talks about his relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That somebody that wakes up in the night and prays, right? Salatul Tahajjud, there is a very high probability, it's almost impossible, that they are not praying their other 5 prayers. Somebody's praying Tahajjud, they're obviously praying their other 5 prayers. And this was the key message that the Prophet ﷺ says, and it's very comprehensive in nature and something that we have to internalize. You see his most committed companion, Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, who after years of persecution and torture is being driven out from his land. And I want you to draw the comparison in your mind of how we are in our condition today in America. He's being driven out from his land, and about a day's journey outside of Mecca, somebody that grew up in Mecca. He had his family in Mecca. He had his children in Mecca. He got married in Mecca, and now he's growing old in Mecca. And now he's being driven out by the people. This was the place where he was considered an aristocrat. He was a multi-billionaire of that time, right? He was amongst the wealthy elite. And yet, when he accepted Islam, they started to shun him and ostracize him and boycott him and excommunicated him. And there was a episode where they even beat him collectively. And so he's leaving for the safety and security of his family. And one day's journey outside of Mecca, he's approached by a man by the name of Ibn ad-Dughna. And he says to him, "Ila ayna ya Aba Bakr?" Where are you going, O Abu Bakr? And he says, "Akhrajani qawmi," my people have driven me out. They have driven me out of my town. And he says to him that somebody like you should not leave, nor should you be allowed to leave. La yakhruju mithluka wa la yukhraj. Somebody like you should not leave, nor should you be allowed to leave. And then he tells him his reasons. He says, "Innaka la tasila rahim." You are a role model family man. We're watching you. The way you interact with your kids and so on, you're a role model family man. Wa taqsib al-ma'dum. That you look after the disenfranchised. You look after the disenfranchised. You know, Brother Arif has been sending emails about the clothing drive that's going on. How many of us opened that email and looked at it and are actually going to participate in that? Right? Yes, there is an ajr with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we have an obligation to serve our fellow man, woman, and child. That's what it's about. That's what it's about, brothers and sisters. And he says to him, وَتَحْمِلَ الْقَلْبِ. You uplift the people that have fallen through the cracks of society. وَتُعِينَ عَلَى نَوَائِبَ الْحَقِّ. And we have seen you be a part of every good cause in this society. Every good cause in this society. There is no reason that every single one of us, whether we came here for economic advancement or otherwise, that all we should be involved with is our 9 to 5, and that's it. And then we go to a couple of potluck dinners on the weekends, and that's our life. We need the Azra Beigs of this community. We need the Imam Shiblis of this community. We need the Arif Patels of this community to step up, and we need more of them. Perhaps it's time for the parents to stop pushing their children into being a doctor or an engineer, and those are the only 2 options you have. Maybe they could be a journalist. We need that in this upcoming generation. We need journalists. We need writers. We need all of this. Nur al-Iman has to produce these type of people. This is what we need. We have to put those seeds in today so the generation that's to come after this has a much better future. Today we're going through this. Today all of us are collectively going through whatever it is that we're going through. Right? And we make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us this dua. فَقَالُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ تَوَكَّلْنَا رَبَّنَا لَا تَجْعَلْنَا فِتْنَةً لِلْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ وَنَجَّنَا بِرَحْمَتِكَ مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الْكَافِرِينَ. That they said that, "Oh Allah, we rely strictly upon you. We rely strictly upon you, and we ask you, do not make us a fitna for the wrongdoers." And the scholars, they explain that this fitna, which you and I know as trial and tribulation, it could be of 2 ways. Of 2 ways. First, do not let us be tested by the wrongdoers. Do not let us be tested by the wrongdoers. Those that are telling you that you can't be a president of this United States, right? Those that are comparing the refugees that are running from the same problem that we have, those that are running from that same problem, and they are comparing them to rabid dogs, right? And we're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially for our sisters, particularly for those that are, obviously covering up and have children, and they're going to the grocery stores and so on, right? Exercise vigilance. Exercise vigilance. We're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, do not let the wrongdoers test us. Protect us from that. Protect us from their rhetoric. Protect us from their harm. Protect us from their torture. But then, the more sobering part of this dua, of this ayah, the more sobering part of this ayah is, do not allow us to be a test for the wrongdoers. And you can ask yourself, well, how are we going to be a test for the wrongdoers? After all, aren't they the ones that are doing wrong? Aren't they the ones that are carrying these bigoted beliefs and so on and so forth? There are so many people that are out there that are searching for the truth. And they're simply being programmed by whatever the media is feeding to them, and they're simply regurgitating back. That's all they're doing. They haven't critically thought about what they're actually saying. And when you stop them in their tracks and you challenge their logic, they start to think. And so you ask yourself, that, well, how could we be putting them in a difficult position? How could we be putting the wrongdoer, the zalimeen, in a difficult position? And the answer is very simple. That if you and I are not living Islam the way that Sayyidina Abu Bakr was living Islam, when this man said, who was an enemy of Islam, this man used to categorically oppose the Prophet ﷺ, and he's telling Abu Bakr as-Siddiq that you are a huge asset to our society. He's telling him this. He's an enemy. And this is what we have to do. That we're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, don't let us be a test for the wrongdoers. That when we don't live Islam, that when all we think is that Islam is a pamphlet, and we say that Islam is peace and all of this, and yet that's not exhibited and manifested in our behavior with the people that we interact with, right? Then there's no difference between us and them. How is it that we have divine guidance and yet we are behaving this way? Right? Even if we are people that have become very complacent, it's time for every single one of us to wake up. We can't keep hitting the snooze button. Every time something happens, we cannot keep hitting the snooze button. We have to wake up, brothers and sisters, and do something for this deen. It is dependent upon you and me and every single one of us to carry this deen forward in these lands. And yes, these are our lands. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the strength, the fortitude, the patience to withstand what is coming and inshallah what will come, but give it to us with patience and sabr. Idu Allah yaghfir lakum dhunubakum. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina wa habibina maulana Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim tasliman kathiran kathiran kathira. Amma ba'd. One of the things that we spoke about was, obviously feeding the poor and feeding the hungry. There are so many causes between Muslims against hunger and helping hands and so many things. And yes, a lot of them focus internally and they're somewhat insular in nature. Muslims against hunger actually goes out into these soup kitchens and so on. Every single one of our faces needs to be seen out there. We need to be out there. If you're in an industry and you're a physician or you're an engineer or whatever, you have to be the very best at it, so that when conferences happen, when things like that happen, when publications happen, it has your Muslim name on the agenda. And that you're showing up and you're speaking. We have to represent and we have to step up. Right? Every single thing that we do is being watched and it's being magnified 100-fold, and then it's being broadcasted to the rest of the world. One of our teachers, he was talking about that when he was young, when he was about 20 years old, his sheikh was visiting. And he was driving his sheikh from one talk to another, from masjid to masjid. And what happened was that, he was going through yellow lights racing through red lights as they become red lights, and he was breaking all kinds of rules, cutting people off and so on, and his sheikh tells him to pull over. He tells him to pull over, and he says, you call yourself a da'i? That's what you are? You're a Muslim, you're representing Islam, you're an advocate of Islam, the religion that was brought by Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this pristine religion, that's what you're representing by cutting people off and going in front of them and so on? You're not driving. Even in your driving, it's exhibited. Every single one of our behaviors, every little thing that we do, right? It's exhibited in that. And so we have to step up and be the best version of ourselves. Be the best versions of ourselves. And every little thing that you do matters. Every little thing that you do matters. You all know the narration about the prostitute that was saved. And all she did in that one moment of time is that there was something in her heart to give that dog water. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, despite all of the previous nights of sinning that she had done, right? That in that moment in time when she fed that dog, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy descended and she was admitted into Jannah. Every single one of us, 24 hours a day, we are seeking for those moments of mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every single thing that we do counts. Every single thing that we do counts. And so I'll finish with this story. I'll finish with this story that it's the story of the starfish, and I love this story because it talks about one person making a difference. And each person can make a difference. And it starts with the man that's jogging along a cliff, and he sees this young man, he's on the beach. And this young man, he's picking up starfish that are littered throughout the beach. He's picking them up and he's throwing them into the ocean. And the older man, the gentleman that's jogging, he comes down and he starts looking at this kid. And he says, oh boy, what do you think you're doing? And he says to him, he says, I'm trying to save these starfish. They all washed up onto the shore. They've all washed up onto the shore, and I'm trying to save them. And he looks at them, and he looks at the boy, and he says to him, do you see around you? There's thousands of these starfish. There are literally thousands of starfish. How can you save all of them? He says, you're crazy. Just go home. You're wasting your time. And the kid, he starts to get upset, and he looks down at his feet, and a tear starts to well up in his eye. And he's looking at all of the starfish. And then he goes and he picks up a starfish. And the old man says, and he holds him by the shoulder, he said, didn't I tell you, you can't make a difference. There's too many of them. And he picks up that starfish and he throws it into the ocean, and he says, it made a difference for that one. And then he picks up another starfish and he throws it into the ocean, and he said, it made a difference for that one. And he picks up another one and throws it into the ocean and said, it made a difference for that one. And the moral of the story is that every single thing that we do, the problems, the situation in the world may seem gigantic, it may seem monumental, but we have to start little steps at a time. Little steps at a time. This community, mashallah, is extremely active. One of the things that I would recommend that the community does is equip the lay person to be able to speak to their co-workers and their colleagues when things like this happen. They should be able to discuss, verses that may come off as controversial and so on. The community needs to have classes to equip lay people on how to converse with their co-workers on things like this. When things like this happen, we have to have a response plan when things like this happen. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wallahi, this is a trying time, and with that there's opportunity. Because at the end of the day, you and I will stand in front of our creators and we'll have to answer for ourselves. The events are going to take place anyway. This is all written, it's in the Qadr, right? That the pens wrote this thousands and thousands of years ago, and they were lifted and they have dried. And Allah has already written that this was going to happen in this world. But He's also written that you were going to exist in this moment in time. And the real question is, what are you and I going to do about it? Are we just going to be watching from the sidelines? Or are we going to be active? Are we going to get involved with our communities and do everything that we possibly can to raise the banner of La ilaha illallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the strength, the fortitude, and the wisdom to carry forward, inshaAllah. Allahumma ighfir lil muslimina wal muslimat wal mu'minina wal mu'minat al ahya'i minhum wal amwat innaka sami'un qaribun mujibud da'wat. Allahumma rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhaban nar wa adkhilna al jannata ma'al abrar ya azizu ya ghaffar ya rabbal alamin. رب اجعلني مقيم الصلاة ومن ذريتي ربنا وتقبل دعاء ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين وأذل الشرك والمشركين ودمر أعداء الدين واحمي حوزة الإسلام يا رب العالمين اللهم فرج على المسلمين في كل مكان في سوريا في فلسطين في العراق في بورما في باكستان في كشمير في أمريكا في كل مكان يا رب العالمين اللهم تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم سبحان ربك رب العزة أما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون وأقيموا الصلاة